and welcome back to Meet the Authors. I'm so glad you could stay with us. For our guest today is Eric Zala. And Eric, welcome.
Oh, thank you. Good to be here, Phil.
Eric Zala. Eric has got a fabulous story to tell. At age 10, he had seen the movie Raiders of the Lost Ark. Remember that when it first came out? Some of us do. And he was so fascinated by it, he decided he wanted to shoot a movie just like it. He has a book that tells all about it, how he saw a friend with a comic book and he was inspired. And from there on, it was every summer until he now has this fabulous documentary. So Eric, show us your book and tell us a little bit about your movies.
Thank you, Phil. Yeah, it's a crazy story. I grew up here on the Gulf Coast, actually here in Ocean Springs, and childhood buddy of mine, Chris Trompolis, a year younger, came up with this idea to do a shot-for-shot remake of Raiders Lost Ark and asked me, did I want to help? And I was, 11, and I said, yeah, okay, sure, having no idea what, I was getting into. If we had known that we were committing the next 7 years of our lives to remaking it, I think we would have been terrified. But kids don't know what kids can't do, right?
That's right.
So, I was a sophomore at NYU Film School at age 19 when we finished. So I started when I was 12, finished when we were 19. 7 years, consumed the entire childhood.
And it certainly set the course for your life, I guess, if you ended up being a filmmaker and so forth.
Right. Yeah, at NYU, I enjoyed learning filmmaking methodically, as opposed to the filmmaking by osmosis, of kind of growing up and using the yardstick of the original Raiders. And then, at NYU, I wrote and directed an original that did well on the film festival circuit. So it's doing a remake is an interesting learning exercise, and definitely a different type of enjoyment than original.
It is an incredible film, too. I see you have copies of these films. Tell me about this.
So finally, after much delay, our film is actually finally available online, actually, at the website that's will be...
Pull this way.
Thanks. So 35 years in the making, basically. We shot most of the film back in the 80s, growing up here. And I know, there's a reason why it took us 7 years. I mean, we did it right. Authentic World War II submarine, got the boulder, live snakes. And then, finished, went off to life and everything. And then 25 years later, we got the band back together again and actually did the one scene that we couldn't do as kids, the airplane scene. Yeah. We raised $58,000 on Kickstarter and actually came back here to the coast. I was living in Vegas at the time, and it would have been, more deserty there, but, there's something special about doing it in your hometown. So we actually shot it in nearby Vancleave. And in the weird twist of things, there's now a documentary that actually covers that, sort of then and now.
Covers creating that last scene, creating the money and getting the airplane and blowing it up, and the big German doing the
That's
plane.
the scene, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that scene.
Yeah, I mean, the plane blows up at the end, so that's why we couldn't do it, we didn't want it to be cute. I know that might sound strange now, but we wanted it to be good. That was important ethos to us. So anyway, it's actually available on Netflix. If you search on Netflix for the word Raiders, it'll pop up. But that has been a wild ride. In the midst of this, before there was a documentary about these crazy Mississippi kids doing this shot-for-shot remake of Raiders Lost Ark, we worked with a great author named Alan Eisenstock, who did a really amazing book that kind of captured it. And then
tell me about this book.
Oh, yeah. So actually, it came out in 2012, shortly after I left Ocean Springs for Las Vegas. Alan Eisenstock is a really fantastic author with a great, captures the comedy and the sense of humor, as well as some of the anguish of this kind of long journey remaking Raiders
kids
over 7 years.
Starting 11 years old and doing 7 years to make a movie during the summers with a little Betamax and such. That's amazing. Now tell us what's going on with the film. It's gone all over the world, tours and stuff?
Yeah, so after the book came out and we did the documentary and the airplane scene, which covered that.
At first it was like a Vanity Fair article.
That's right. Before either of those was a 10,000-word feature article in Vanity Fair back in 2003 it was. It's a great piece, also available online at the website. That'll be listed later if anyone's curious. Done by Jim Windolf, really great read. The book, goes into yet more detail in its discovery 14 years later, and we got to meet Steven Spielberg, which was an amazing thing.
You got Steven Spielberg?
Yeah, my childhood hero.
Yeah, all of our childhood heroes.
I mean, to having spent my entire childhood emulating his directorial, kind of tracing his footsteps directorially, it was amazing that after a film was quite accidentally discovered, and the book goes into the how, that's a story in and to itself. But he spent about 45 minutes with us at DreamWorks.
Nice.
In his offices there, talking about life and Raiders and movies, and even showed us outtakes from the original Raiders.
What fun. What a fun experience. That's great. And and then the movie now has been shown in how many countries? How many locales?
Gosh, so we, after it was discovered by accident, people tracked us down through the internet. We embarked on like 13 years of touring. Festivals and whatnot would fly us out. Then when the documentary came out, to support the doc's theatrical release, my family and I went on a 4-month, 65-city road tour across America in 2016 to do a double feature of the doc and the fan film and answer people's questions. It's because, folks always have a lot of questions, and that actually arose after that. A lot of teachers and educators approached me afterwards and said, this is a really amazing story. Is there any way you can share your film for our students? They'd find it really inspiring, and that led to what I'm doing now, which is I travel and I speak at schools and art centers and colleges and share the film and this crazy story, which has been remarked as a bit of project-based learning, as they say in the educational realm these days. How did these kids, all outside of a classroom, deal with the need for resourcefulness, tenacity, problem solving, collaboration, all those things that are good life skills.
And so, dealing with the police on occasion too.
Yeah. And that takes me to the final entry. Back when we did Kickstarter, I finally published the storyboards that I drew back when I was 12.
And this is a book that's now available.
Yes. Also at website ericzala.com.
Put the website up for us.
Yeah. So it's www.ericzala.com.
This is raidersguys.com. Is that the same website?
Actually, that's a different one. But they're available both places.
Okay. So www.ericzala, ERICZALA.com.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah. So, when we did the Kickstarter campaign, I dug up the original. Thank you. Storyboards that I drew. Back when we were started off, when we were kids, we were sort of fumbling around in the dark.
Attic, huh?
Yeah. So I drew Raiders. Wasn't available at your local Blockbuster back in 1982. So we saw the movie as many times as our allowance would sustain. I think which was about twice. And I actually snuck in an audio tape cassette recorder into Surfside Cinema 4 to capture the soundtrack. And sure, it was marred by audience cheering and whatnot, but it was a memory jog. And I bought everything Raiders could get our hands on, the storybook on record, trading cards, and I splayed all the accumulated reference material out on the dining room table. And I spent a whole summer drawing from memory every single shot, 602, and that forms the main content of the book. Also in there, we've got some behind-the-scenes photos and some correspondence.
I love this. Well, we're out of time. It's just been nonstop thrill to hear about the book, just like the movies, nonstop thrill. And we're so glad you could come and join us. Boy, I hope people can get this. It'll be available on my website if you want to put it on my website. Many of our authors' books and my, I'm up this way now, and my books are available here. So please check us out and come back for our next episode. So Eric, thank you for being with us.
Phil, it's a pleasure.
Pleasure, and thank you all for joining us from your home. We're looking forward to having you come back next week. We'll have a new show and 2 new local authors. Support your local authors. They're here to write their heart's desires out to us. Like us on Facebook too. So until next time, thanks for joining us, and meet us back on Meet the Authors.